Welcome to Intuitive Transformations with your host, Sylvia Henderson, and discover tools, wisdom, and inspiration that will empower you to transform your life. Sylvia is an intuitive life coach and energy healer with a growing practice that is focused on empowering others to be more of who they want to be. For the next hour, join Sylvia and explore and unravel anything in the way of you creating the life that you would love to live on the Om Times Radio Network.
Welcome and happy Sunday. You are listening to the Intuitive Transformations radio show on Om Times Radio, the voice of consciousness. And this is where you will find tools you can use to transform your life. I'm Sylvia Henderson, your host. And as you know, I'm here every Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Time on iom.fm. Now, the intention of the Intuitive Transformations radio show is to create connections soul to soul and to share valuable information and resources that will inspire you to expand into more of who you truly are so that you can step boldly into more of what you love and desire in your life. I want to remind you that Om Times Radio offers a wide variety of shows and is available for your listening pleasure 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And also wanted to ask you, did you know that you can access detailed information about all of the shows on Om Times Radio, including my own, simply by visiting omtimes.com. You can also read and subscribe to the Om Times magazine and even schedule an appointment with an Om Times advisor. All you have to remember is omtimes.com, and there are navigational links there that will take you exactly to where you would like to go. And if you're ready to create real change in your life, then please contact me for a complimentary 15-minute consultation. I promise you will not be disappointed. For more information about me and what I do, please visit my website at intuitivetransformations.net. That's intuitivetransformations.net. You might just experience the change you have been waiting for. And speaking of change, I'd like to ask you a few questions about how we might be able to affect or create real change on our planet, in our world, and also in our lives. Wouldn't it be fantastic if every day you had the opportunity to contribute something good and kind to someone else in the world? How do you think our lives would change if everyone began to focus on planting seeds of goodness and kindness into the lives of others? Now, while you're pondering those two questions, here's something else I'd like for you to consider. Have you ever noticed how wonderful you feel after you've done something really good for someone else, or even for the environment, or for a brilliantly good cause? Well, today we are going to talk about how you can experience the joy of sowing seeds of positivity and possibilities that are creative, inspirational, that are big and small and good and kind. And you can do this 365 days a year. And what do you think would happen if people started being the change that they want to see in the world every single day? Remember when random acts of kindness drew the media's attention? People all over the world were just doing random acts of kindness for complete, total strangers. People were buying coffee for the 10 cars that were behind them in the line at their favorite espresso drive-thru. People were just doing nice things for people that they did not even know. With all the negativity that we are often confronted with, wouldn't it be fantastic if we actively turned the tide of awareness away from negativity and instead turned it towards positive kindness and goodness? Wouldn't doing that change the world for the better? I sure think so. And so does my guest, Brenda Knight, who is the author of the soon-to-be-released book, Be a Good in the World, 365 Days of Good Deeds, Inspired Ideas, and Acts of Kindness. You see, Brenda Knight is one of the co-creators of the Random Acts of Kindness movement, and Brenda believes, as I do, that whether you're young or old, rich or poor, there is always a way for you to do something good and kindness to change someone else's life. Today's show is going to be all about fun, creative, small, big, bold, and beautiful ideas that you can use to express your kindness and goodness each and every day of the year. And before I bring Brenda on, let me tell you a little bit more about Brenda. Brenda Knight is a living example of how effortless it can be and how anyone, whether they're 5 years old or 105 years old, can be a good in the world by providing one act of kindness at a time. Brenda grew up on a farm in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, where her mother, Helen, taught her how to truly appreciate and value life. After a brief career as a high school English teacher, Brenda began her publishing career at HarperCollins, and as a publisher, editor, and author, Brenda has written about women's history and issues affecting women's lives today, and was named IndieFab's 2013 Publisher of the Year. Now, she has also authored The Grateful Table, another book called She Rose. I love that title. The Poetry Oracle, The Wild Women and Books, and the American Book Award-winning Women of the Beat Generation. Her newest book, Be a Good in the World, 365 Days of Good Deeds, Inspired Ideas, and Acts of Kindness, becomes available this Saturday, June 20th, 2015, on, get this, International Pay It Forward Day, which allows readers to plant a seed of kindness every single day. Practicing what she preaches, Brenda also volunteers with women newly diagnosed with breast cancer. Brenda lives in the San Francisco Bay Area of California, and she is here with us today. Brenda Knight, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure.
Well, Brenda, it is my pleasure to have you here, and congratulations on your soon-to-be-released book.
Oh, thank you. I hope it sort of rekindles that Random Acts of Kindness feeling from the mid-90s, which was so wonderful. That was just, it was viral even before there was social media.
I love that. I love that. Because you have been a forerunner in teaching other people how to give to others in unique and creative ways for quite a while. And so you were talking about the random acts of kindness, but I would really like to talk to, first of all, the fact that you're launching this great book that is chock full of 365 creative and inspiring ideas on how to express goodness and kindness into the world on a very auspicious day.
Right. Pay It Forward Day.
Pay It Forward Day. And this is a day that was originally launched in Australia. Is that correct? Back about 2007? Is that accurate, or was it earlier than that?
That is true. And because we, it's tied so closely in with Random Acts of Kindness, because we had distributed our book, Random Acts of Kindness, into Australia and New Zealand and around the world as much as possible. And it really caught fire in Australia and New Zealand, because I think they're like sunny, happy, kind-hearted people, maybe even more so thanks to all that sun down under or something. And so they had contacted us and asked permission, like, to use ideas from Random Acts of Kindness. And they even wanted to like pay us for the ideas. And we were like, no, that would defeat the purpose of kindness. So like, you can have it. And it was really cool to see that it sort of developed its own spirit, I think. And they were sort of much more even business-like, if you will, than we were with Random Acts of Kindness, because there we were in Berkeley with like bumper stickers and like a lot of like, you know, big hearts and big ideas. But they sort of made more use of the internet actually than we had done. And so I think it took on its own flavor and it took on its own life, and, you know, even became, you know, inspired that movie, as we all know, that people love. And it's going gung ho. And so I love to acknowledge Pay It Forward Day, because I think there's Random Acts of Kindness is something you can do, again, like just sort of randomly, you know, like in the walk of your day. You don't have to, there's no preconceived, there's no planning to it. You know, you can just do it when this spirit hits you, which is wonderful. Whereas Pay It Forward is a little more purposeful and thoughtful and has a little more planning to it. And so I think that like it evolved in its own wonderful way and also went around the world. And so I love what they do. And I also love that it started in Down Under, but it's now in 60 countries around the world. And there's 500,000 people. So there's 500,000 people that are very actively, you know, working with Pay It Forward.
That is just fantastic. We are going right into a break, everyone. Please stay tuned. I have Brenda Knight here with me. We are talking about how you can be a good in the world. We'll return in just a moment. Stay tuned.
Conscious media for conscious minds. Om Times. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single Om Times endeavor. Host your show with Om Times Radio Network.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
What if living didn't have to be so serious?
What if you could move beyond your problems with greater confidence and ease than you've ever imagined?
Throw your labels out the window and join the Irreverent Therapist for practical tips and a very different way of approaching the changes you would like to create.
Marilyn Bradford
and Pam Hodling
have empowered hundreds of people to come out of self-judgment, quit looking to experts, and begin to create the lives they desire.
Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Irreverent Therapist Show.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back. This is Sylvia Henderson. You're listening to Intuitive Transformations Radio on Om Times radio network. I just wanted to let everyone know before we went into the break, I have my special guest here, Brenda Knight, and she and I were talking about her soon-to-be released book, which is going to be released on Saturday, June 20th, which is International Pay It Forward Day. And before we went into the break, Brenda was sharing with all of you about how Pay It Forward Day came to be, that it was really built upon the foundation of random acts of kindness. And Brenda, before we go into random acts of kindness, real quick for those of you who would like to know a little bit more about Pay It Forward Day, just go to their website. It's payitforwardday.com. As Brenda was saying, they're very organized there. As a matter of fact, they have little coupons that you can print out on your printer, and you can perform a random. You can pay it forward for someone else, give them the card, and the card is something just saying, "Hey, this was done for you because of this day, and if you would like to continue, then please feel free to, and if not, that's okay too." So there's no obligation to participate. But they also have a lovely package for teachers and for school principals, because this is something that those that are in the educational field can go ahead and administer amongst the students and practice this Pay It Forward Day actually within school systems, which I think that's a lovely way to teach our youth the importance of goodness and kindness. And so, Brenda, being that Pay It Forward Day was built upon Random Acts of Kindness movement, which was a big movement that was launched back in the 90s, is that correct?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about that? And how did the Random Acts of Kindness movement actually begin?
You know, one of the things I love about it, Sylvia, is that it was oh so very random. I mean, it really started with one woman, a poet and artist named Anne Herbert, and she used to like to go to this little cafe in Sausalito. You know, Sausalito is right across the Golden Gate Bridge from San Francisco, and it has beautiful views, and it used to be a real community for artists way back in the day when it was affordable to live there. I don't think it really is anymore. But in any case, like, she went to this cafe and had her lattes and tea and hung out. And so it was one of those cafes that had like the white paper placemats. Mm-hmm. So she was, like I said, she was an artist and doodler. And so she doodled something like practice random acts of kindness and senseless acts of beauty. And it was done so colorfully and like with her own unique artful calligraphy, that instead of like rolling it up and recycling it or throwing it away, the people at the cafe hung it on the wall as like a piece of art. And people would come in from, all over the world visiting Sausalito, and they would be practice random acts of kindness. What's that? And so then it became a bumper sticker. Somebody that went to the cafe was inspired to make a bumper sticker, sort of imitating a tribute to Anne Herbert's calligraphy. And so we were at Canary Press, this little tiny press. I had just left HarperCollins because I wanted to see what indie publishing was like, and I figured it was more free form and low key, not so much high pressure corporate. And so we started off, we thought, wow, there's something here, this random acts of kindness. We keep seeing the bumper stickers more and more. Wonder if we could gather up ideas of kindness and put it into a book. And so we actually had a party. We invited our friends, fellow publishers, sales reps, and even, husbands and children and anyone that we thought like could contribute to this concept of kindness. And so we actually recorded what people said and then entered it into this book and got great thinkers like Daphne Rose Kingman, Donna Markova to write introductions to the concept of kindness to make it, to really show that it's a big, beautiful thing, not just this tiny little one thing you do once and forget about. And so we printed like 2,000 copies, and we honestly thought oh, if we sell the 2,000 copies, we'll be lucky. So we had modest expectations. And so sure enough, like that 2,000 copies sold out, and our distributor and sales reps came back and said, you need to do a printing, and you need to do a much bigger printing this time. The bookstores are really loving it. It's flying off the shelves, which is, of course, music to any publisher's ear.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so we were like, okay, but like still we thought we had modest expectations, like really how big of a printing, maybe 3,000, again, modest. So the day we knew that it wasn't just a little bitty thing with small print runs was when we heard a knock on the door, and it was the postman. Now, every day, postman came by the offices on 9th Street in Berkeley, and he usually had a couple of orders, a request for free books from prisoners. Every publisher gets those. Of course, we always sent all kinds of things to prisoners. And a couple of bills, a printer invoice, just the regular stuff that a little company gets. So this knock on the door was more ferocious than the usual knock. And we could hear the mail man on the other side of the door saying, I need help. And so we flung open the door, and he had bags full of letters from people they were responding to us with their ideas of kindness, and then also just letters of gratitude saying how much they loved it and how it changed their life. At the very back of the book, in the same way that I do in Be a Good in the World, we made it interactive and said, here are our ideas and thoughts about kindness. We'd love to hear yours, or what you think we need to do to make it a better world. And so I'm telling you, I think all of the 2,000 people that have bought the first print run wrote back, and it went viral again, Sylvia, in the old school way, pre-social media. This is like 1995. And we sat down. There was small staff, I think like 6 people. We sat down and started tearing open the letters. We were laughing. We were crying. We couldn't believe it. It was so beautiful. I'll never forget the experience. It was just the best thing in the world. And there were elder people. You could tell it was like grandmothers and grandfathers with their nice penmanship, and then kids writing their ideas of kindness with their big blocky letters and crayons, and then teachers, a lot of teachers. And we knew that we had touched something. I think timing is everything. Mm-hmm. And I think the timing must have just been perfect for that. And so, we realized that it was something bigger than we even knew, and that we had to sit up and respond in the smartest way we could. So we thought, what are we going to do? This is a big thing. And so we decided to create like a network of Random Acts of Kindness coordinators in big cities. And so that's what we did. We put out a call like in newspapers and things like that for people that wanted to be the kindness ambassador in their town. And actually we were able to get hundreds of kindness ambassadors because they were excited by the idea. And then we had Random Acts of Kindness Week, which is always Valentine's Day week. And usually Random Acts of Kindness Day is like the 13th. We tried to never make it on Valentine's Day because we know people are maybe busy there.
Right.
And so, it started out with that 2,000 copy print run, and Random Acts of Kindness went on to sell more than 2 million copies. And then Oprah came calling, which you may even know about.
Oh, and yes.
Yeah. And Random Acts of Kindness was was what gave her the idea to start her angel network.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. You said it was a timing thing, but don't you also think that there was something that touched people on a very deep level, like a longing mm-hmm. that we all hold within ourselves, that we're looking for that way to connect with each other from a place of kindness and goodness?
Right. I agree with you. I think that, when times are tough, and I remember like there was an economic downturn in the mid-90s, and so it could be that like that was partially the reason why people were really open-minded and open-hearted towards Random Acts of Kindness. But I think when times are tough, we need to remind each other that we're good people, and to do it person to person. So what Random Acts of Kindness had going for it is that it was person to person. You bought the bridge toll for the person behind you in the car, and the book told you to like tell the toll taker, make sure they know that I did it as a random act of kindness. And of course that feeds upon itself. But I think actually that's part of my inspiration for doing the book Be a Good in the World. People are walk down the street only looking at their smartphones. They don't they don't say hello, they don't smile, they don't make eye contact. And, I drive in San Francisco several days a week, and I see people like they live in their own bubble, and they're not even aware that there's anything beyond what's going on their social media or smartphone. So I think we really need person-to-person contact, person-to-person generosity and interactions, because we're inherently good as a people. I believe that, and I say that in the book. And I know that's true from my Random Acts of Kindness experience. But we need to be more in contact person to person. And so that's what Random Acts of Kindness had going for it. It was from one person to another, from one heart to another, from one hand to another hand, one hand lifting another up. And sometimes that's all people need, is just a helping hand to get them through what they're going through. And then they can go on and in turn be kind and generous and helpful.
I could not agree with you more. I think that is so dead on. And this is one of the reasons I'm so excited for your book launching in just a few days, because just as you described the dynamics of when Random Acts of Kindness was born, we have those dynamics now in this day and age even more intensely, because now we have palpable fear wherever we look, as well as economic challenges in our country and really on a global scale. So I'm very excited about this. We're going to go into another break, and when we return, we're going to continue the conversation. I have Brenda Knight here, and we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth about her soon-to-be released book, Be a Good in the World. You will not want to miss this. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness and action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com. and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake. A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back, and thank you for listening. This is Sylvia Henderson, and I have with me Brenda Knight, who is the author of a soon-to-be-released book, Be a Good in the World, 365 Days of Good Deeds, Inspired Ideas, and Acts of Kindness. And before we went into the break, Brenda was sharing about her experience with the Random Acts of Kindness movement and how that all began and how that really just took on a life of its own, and just how people engaged it with that and wanted to be a part of that, and so that it just became this groundswell that became a tremendous movement that I can't think of anybody who has not heard the phrase coined Random Acts of Kindness as a result. So Brenda, the book that you have now that you're about to launch, Be a Good in the World, first of all, I have to ask you about the title. Why is it called Be a Good in the World? Rather than be a good person in the world or do good things in the world or something else. Be a good in the world. Why is that so thoughtfully chosen as a title?
Sylvia, I know you're very spiritual, intuitive person, so I feel like I can tell you and you'll understand more than a lot of people will, and all the Times listeners will as well. So when I was working on the Grateful Table book, which came out 2 years ago, so I think I was working on it about 3 years ago, so it's like graces and ways to show gratitude, which is also, something that I love to practice, and I love that there's a sort of a gratitude movement going on. And so when I came to October, I wanted to acknowledge, Breast Cancer Month, which I also do, and Be Good in the World, and about my volunteership with women who are newly diagnosed. And so, I take that very seriously. And so I was gathering quotes of gratitude from women who were survivors of breast cancer. And one of them was, she was just talking about how even if she didn't have much time left on the planet, the one thing she wanted to leave as her legacy is she wanted to leave a legacy of goodness and having been a kind, generous, good person. And that really resonated with me. I'm telling you, like, I was sitting there thinking about it, and I just thought, yeah, that's a wonderful goal to have for your life, to be a good in the world. Like, so somehow my brain, I guess I am an editor too, my brain edited her stuff into this phrase. And it was sort of like if there was a light bulb that could have gone off over top of my head, it would have. Because while I was working on the other book, I absolutely thought, oh my God, I have to put together a book on being a good in the world. So I wrapped up the gratitude book, The Grateful Table, and then I started gathering quotes and ideas. And so for me, when the phrase came into my mind in that light bulb eureka moment, it never changed. And it's funny because our rights coordinator, who is she's quite a brilliant woman that sells books all over the world, and she said, that's a funny phrase. Are you sure that that's what you want the title of the book to be? And I said, absolutely, because I think it is encouraging. And so it's meant for everyone that sees the book or hears about the book or sees it on the bookshelf. It's meant to exhort you, here's your opportunity for you, whomever you are, Jane, Joe, Jack, you could be a force for good in this world. And I know you have your own ideas, and here are 365 ideas for you to consider and try a few. So it was a light bulb moment.
I love that. And, when I saw that, I thought, for me, even though it's not how you would typically expect a title to be presented, the beingness, being a good, it's like being the good in the world. It's then becomes a sense of who you are versus action steps.
Right, exactly. That you're internalizing it, that you, like, in your body, mind, and soul, like, you're just goodness on two legs.
And I tell you, people need to step into that, because so many of us, especially here in the States, we've not been told that we're good. We're walking around, most of us, feeling like we're not good enough. And this is a way to own the goodness that is our innate birthright, the truth of what we really are. Exactly. Before it got taught out of us. So I love it. I love it.
That's beautifully said, Sylvia. One of the, I can't remember which day it is, but I think it's in the summer, like in like August or something like that. But one of the days is catch people doing something right. Because, I'm, in middle age. And so like you, I've worked a few jobs and seen the workplace, and just how the workplace is where you are maybe even more often than you are with your family and loved ones. And that, like, it can be a place without much love, but we can all change that every day. You can walk in the office and set the tone and make it a happier, more holistic place to be. One of the chief ways is to acknowledge people by catch them doing something right instead of something wrong.
I love that.
Yeah. When somebody does, like, even if it's like, they just like did the dishes for the office dishes for everyone, and then left like a nice, clean, sparkling, fresh, like, kitchen office, like, you say, wow, that was amazing. Thank you. You rock. Thank you for doing that. That is really terrific, or whatever it is. Because one of the things, Henry James, the novelist, he had a brother who was actually more famous at the time, William James, and he was a therapist. He was like a psychotherapist, and like quite a scholarly one. And he said, all people really want in this world is to be affirmed.
Yeah.
Affirmed.
Yeah. Yes. I absolutely agree. I have sat across with a client in front of me over and over again. And it reminds me of the movie Avatar. It's like they just want someone to say, I see you, not all of the judgments. I see you. The truth, right. The beauty of who you are. Can I just share something with the listeners? I love this book because it's chock full of a variety of different ways that you can express and practice planting seeds of goodness and kindness in the world. It doesn't have to be something major, earth-shattering. One of the things you kind of spoke about earlier is people being so attached to their devices that they're walking up and down the streets these days glued to this tiny little screen. And for January 13th, it says, look up, put down your smartphone and make eye contact person to person. I mean, and you say I consider that a major act of kindness and courtesy as well. And it really is. I've seen couples sitting at dinner, both of them engage in their individual smartphones. And it's just like, wow.
I know. That one always, like, I always, like, sort of, I don't know what, like, sort of hurt for them. And I just think, like, oh my gosh, like, you're please don't, like, leave the phone in the car or something, leave the phone at home, because we need to talk and communicate. And one of the days in Be a Good in the World is that listening is an act of love, and that, like, many of us, we forget to really listen. You said in Avatar, it's like, I see you. Mm-hmm. But there's also, I hear you.
Yes.
People are starved for that. And, I think that, like, maybe something in our culture makes us think that we have to, like, fill up all the air, take up all the oxygen in the room, or, like, just keep talking until we finally say something right. But the opposite is true. Listening is
priceless.
It's priceless, and it's perhaps one of the most loving things you can do is really listen and just hear somebody out. They may not even need you to respond, except for I hear you.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So you have 365 days of good deeds, but is it necessary that you actually start from the calendar date that you're living through? I mean, or can you just, how should people use this book? Because there's so many ideas. There's simple ones. There's ideas where you can, contribute to certain organizations like August 8th, make sure our elders are well fed, and you give information like 1 in 6 Americans over age 60 faces the threat of hunger, and Meals on Wheels is there to help, and just contributing $35 provides 5 meals. I mean, there's simple ways monetarily. There are simple things like opening the door for people randomly as they're approaching it. People don't expect that anymore, which is kind of sad, but this is so good because it reminds us how easy it can be to be kind and good. So how do you suggest people use this book?
Well, I like it random, Sylvia. So you can absolutely turn it. It's interesting. Almost every time I go to a bookstore or give a talk or anything, the people that are introducing me or people participating always want to see what their birthday is. So before I tell you other ways to use the book, I want to ask you your birthday.
I am December 20th, and if we don't get a chance to read through the whole thing, we'll hold it until the break.
Okay.
So I think we have about a minute coming up here before we go into another break.
It's funny. It's my favorite one. It's if something really worries you, do something about it. So we'll definitely have to come back. But how I can use the rest of the few seconds is you can use Be a Good in the World with Claromancy and just open it up. Close your eyes, open it up, and then just point. You know how people in the Bible Belt, that's what they do with Bibles. So you can use it that way and make it really, really random, and then just open it up and be inspired.
I love that. That's awesome. And I'm glad that my birth date is one of your favorite ones, and I turn to it, and I love that. If something really worries you, do something about it. Don't sit there and fret over it. That's just draining your energy, right?
Exactly.
Especially since, we can definitely affect change with our actions. So we're going into another break, everyone. We will return very shortly. I have with me here my very special guest, Brenda Knight. We're talking about her brand new book, Be a Good in the World. It launches on Saturday, July 20th. Everybody, you're going to want to run out and get this. Stay tuned. There's more to come.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single Om Times endeavor. Host your show with Om Times Radio Network.
Radio Namaste leads you down the yellow brick road into portals of consciousness with the blue-collar goddess as your host. Interviews with humans who could be famous or just popular, and answers to everything are on the agenda. Tune into Om Times Radio and drop in on Thursdays at 3 Eastern. It's a different brand of enlightenment.
Hi, my name is Monica, and I'm the host of Co-Creating Now. Give yourself an opportunity to connect with your all-knowing higher self and manifest joy, love, and peace together every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. The Real Conscious Connection. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Welcome back. You're listening to Intuitive Transformations with Sylvia Henderson, and I have with me today Brenda Knight, and we are talking about her fantastic, soon-to-be-released book, Be a Good in the World, 365 Days of Good Deeds, Inspired Ideas, and Acts of Kindness. And I just want all of you to know that this book is absolutely priceless. I mean, Brenda has done a lot of research to pull this together. There are organizations in here. There are resources. There's things in here I didn't even know existed in the world. I was so impressed with even January 2nd, Just Say Hello. And there is a Just Say Hello campaign on Oprah Winfrey's website. And it's to combat loneliness, because I think there's so many people out there in the world today that feel isolated and feel so alone, even though we're surrounded by billions of people. And there's just one idea after the other that you can do as a family, you can do with friends, you can do this, you can use this book with your children, for parents. This is just such an amazing resource for ideas. I think that it's hard to be creative sometimes and think out of the box, and Brenda's done all the work for you. So Brenda, can you tell everyone how can they find your book when it launches on the 20th?
Well, if they live anywhere near Barnes & Noble, Barnes & Noble got really excited and has big stacks of the book in the front of every store. So Barnes & Noble was very supportive of Random Acts of Kindness, too. So you can go there or go to bn.com, like books, Nancy, bn.com. There's also Amazon. But I love it when people support indies. So, go to your independent bookstore and find it. But so it's even in gift stores, too. And one of my favorite catalogs, Sylvia, I think you would like this catalog, mail order catalog too. It's called Isabella, and it's Gifts for the Spirit. Have you ever seen that?
No, but I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, it's totally your kind of catalog. I mean, I feel like I know you well enough to say that you're an Isabella gal. There's for example, I have a bumper sticker that I got from the Isabella catalog that says, kindness matters. And it's not a sticker bumper sticker. It's a magnet.
I like that. You don't have to ruin your car.
Right?
That's great. That's great. So I cannot believe how fast this hour has flown. This has been so much fun. It's amazing. I do want you, though, and I know that we just talked about my birth date, and that was really awesome, because it was a good reminder for me for sure. But I do want to make sure that you touch on the information that you shared in the back of your book.
Oh, yes. So, I do want people to get in contact with me and share good deeds and acts of kindness and inspired ideas. So you can email me at my name, brenda.knight@gmail. So that's brenda.knight@gmail. But we have all kinds of social media. Twitter is at A Good in the World. The Facebook is Be a Good in the World book. There's a Pinterest, A Good in the World. There's a Tumblr, Be a Good in the World. So, I would love it to have that feeling, from the mid-90s where, people told us, Sylvia, well, thanks for your 365 ideas, and here I have about 10 of mine. Because what I love most is when somebody tells a story of an act of kindness, and they tell us how the change that the recipient went through, and then the change they felt. Because again, it's all about person to person, act of kindness to act of kindness. And so I love it when you hear the stories of how this little moment of generosity could be a big deal in somebody's life, affecting positive change. And that's what it's all about, is to make a difference in this world of ours.
And how much does that shift someone's energy when they give generously? And it doesn't have to be a sacrifice. This is not about guilting. This is not about sacrifice. This is about open-hearted giving. Because
Absolutely. I mean, I think it can completely transform your day or like, and then spill onto like the rest of your life. I mean, look what happened to me. Like, I went from a big corporate fancy job to a little place. We decided to like take a bet on the acts of kindness and that people would want to read about it. And that's the best work experience in my life. Like, you know, that was completely transformational. I would never go back to like just working a corporate job. It's not about widgets for me. It has to be meaningful. So what I learned is that right livelihood for me has to be about positive change for others. And I benefit too.
I love that phrase, right liveliness. I love that because you do talk in the you speak a little bit in the conclusion of your book about an experience you had working for a major, an importer, I believe, corporation.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was a big deal breaker for you.
It was. I remember thinking like, oh my God, I'm going to get this job where I'm a buyer and I travel the world shopping on like somebody else's, you know, purse. And like, I was bragging to my friends, I'm going to Hong Kong and I'm going to India. And then, you know, the day before we were supposed to take the trip for me to start being a buyer, I saw the factories and that there were children working in the factories. And I was so shocked and so stunned and horrified. And I expressed that shock and horror to my boss, you know, about the fact that I felt that it was morally wrong to exploit children for profit. And I quit.
Wow. That was a big courageous step for you.
It was. And like living in San Francisco with no job, that is the scariest thing right there. But I trusted in the universe. I did. I mean, I admit that I cried because like, you know, I thought I had the dream job. And in truth, it turned out that it was going to be a nightmare. But I trusted the universe. I did, Sylvia. I thought, okay, I took the road not taken. And I just know it's going to work out. And then actually from there, I got into publishing. And then now we know I'm on the road of kindly publishing.
Isn't it fascinating how life unfolds and you just never know? You just follow what feels right for you.
Absolutely. I just had to, and I'm sure you have as well.
Absolutely. 110%. So, you know, I told you what my birthday was. And so are there one or two of your favorite ones that are in your new book that you would like to share with the listeners to inspire them?
Absolutely. I'm trying to remember what day Living Aloha is. Living Aloha is a movement that I certainly hope gathers steam. It comes from the Hawaiian Islands, and it's about being, it's about being a good in the world, but there's something different about it. It's more about showing respect for yourself and respect for others all the time, 24/7, 365. And it can manifest in something as simple as when you go to the grocery store, put your shopping cart back. Don't just like leave it by your car or like rolling around in the lot. Put it back. It's about like, if you see an elder and they need help in any way, you just go and help them however they need, taking their trash out, carrying their groceries, you know, doing errands for them, getting them to the doctor. So Living Aloha, I think, has some sort of special spirit from the islands, which is about respect for all, including respect for our planet. So I'm keeping my eye on Living Aloha because I feel there's something special about it, and the fact that it's comes from the original Hawaiian peoples. So it comes from this tribal. It has like an ethnic righteousness to it that excites me. So I love the idea of Living Aloha, which is simple acts of kindness and goodness and self-respect. For respect for yourself and others at all times. And then, let's see, let me just think.
There's a real sweetness to that last one, the Aloha one. I love that.
Right. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to say that going back to random acts of kindness, because remember it was practice random acts of kindness and senseless acts of beauty. So on April 8th, There's Don't Forget the Senseless Acts of Beauty. And the poet who inspired Random Acts of Kindness also implored us to add prettiness to our world. And there's so many ways to do it. Plant flowers in abandoned lots, be a guerrilla gardener, pick up trash, paint a mural for your neighborhood's pleasure. And so I just ask, what beauty can you bring to the world? And think about that and then start doing senseless acts of beauty.
I love that. And you know what else I love about this? April 8th is my daughter's birthday. Oh, so I'll get to share that with her. That is wonderful.
Family.
Exactly, pretty much. So, Brenda, thank you so much for joining me on the show. This has been really, really wonderful. Congratulations on this book. I really hope and pray that this will be a movement that even exceeds the expectations of what Pay It Forward and as well as Random Acts of Kindness combined has brought forth. I really believe that we do need another insurgence of goodness and kindness to start being manifested across the planet. And this is a fabulous tool and resource to execute that. So please, everyone, go out and get this book. Be a good in the world. It's got an adorable little cover. It's blue with a little yellow watering can and a beautiful flower. 365 days of good deeds, inspired ideas, and acts of kindness. I promise you, if you utilize this book, it will change you and it will change the world. It'll be available Saturday, July 20th. You can probably pre-order your copy, but please get it any way you can and give it to your friends, give it to your family, give it to those that are graduating from high school and college right now. This is something you want to be spread seeds of goodness by giving away the book. That's a great way to be a good in the world. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Have a really wonderful week. I really appreciate you coming and spending time with us this Sunday evening. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'm Sylvia Henderson.